Okay, let's jump straight into it. Welcome to the explainer for the Bombardier Q400 Equipment and Furnishings Manual. Today we're doing a complete, nose-to-tail technical walkthrough of the ATA 25 chapter. We're covering the highly specific technical specs you absolutely need to know for type rating and professional operations. And hey, to keep things organized in your head, just remember the phrase nose-to-tail. That's the spatial flow of our briefing today, right down the length of the aircraft.
So following that exact flight plan, we'll move systematically backward through the plane. We're looking at 1. The flight compartment, 2. Passenger cabin and configurations, 3. Emergency and evacuation systems, 4. Lavatories and water systems, 5. Galleys and service units, and finally, 6. Baggage and cargo compartments. Just picture yourself walking down the center aisle, starting with the pilots and ending at the tail.
Section 1. The flight compartment, focusing on crew accommodations. Let's start right up at the front. The flight compartment provides seating for the required crew plus an observer, and it essentially groups all your essential survival and control equipment right within arm's reach. A good memory trick here? Just think front office first. That reminds us we're beginning at Station 0.
Now, what's really fascinating here is the sheer precision you need to set up the flight crew seats safely. We're talking about the AMI Model 1407 and 1414 bucket-type seats. They adjust vertically, fore and aft, with a recline ranging from 7 to 34 degrees, locking you in with a 5-point harness. But here's the kicker. To get the proper height, you have to line up the white ball behind the black indicator on the eye-level indicator right there on the windshield post. And you have to do this before you even touch the rudder pedals. So remember your setup sequence. 7 to 34, ball in black, then pedals.
Next up, emergency gear. Knowing exactly where this stuff is mounted is literally vital. Your essential flight deck gear includes a 1.4 kilogram Halon 1211 extinguisher right behind the pilot, a PB, or protective breathing equipment behind the co-pilot, 3 quick-donning oxygen masks on the bulkheads, and an escape rope attached to the hatch. That rope is exactly 3 meters long and features exactly 8 knots. Keep this little phrase in your back pocket. 8 knots for an 8-minute escape. Moving right along to Section 2, passenger cabin and configurations, accommodating the load. Stepping aft through the flight deck door, the passenger compartment actually has a constant cross-section, but it can be customized with all sorts of different seating arrangements, overhead bins, and communication systems. The mental sticky note for this area is simple: constant cross-section, changing capacities.
Let's see exactly how airlines manipulate that space to build capacity. The standard layout holds 74 seats, but if you go with the extra capacity option, you can cram in 90 passengers. How? By completely ripping out the forward baggage compartment, extending the seats down the right side, and importantly, converting the forward baggage door into a Type 1 exit. Then there's the cargo combi, which maxes out at just 50 passengers, trading the rest of that space for massively expanded cargo. So 74 standard, 90 extended, 50 combo.
Okay, this brings us to a seriously cool, highly unique feature of the Q400, the ANVC, or Active Noise and Vibration Control System. This system automatically tackles propeller noise in the cabin. The control unit takes data from the tachometer and input from cabin microphones, and then it physically moves electromechanical fuselage actuators at a very specific frequency and force to literally suppress the propeller vibrations. Best way to remember it? Mics hear the prop, actuators make it stop.
Let's shift gears to how the cabin crew actually controls their environment and talks to each other. You've got the master display panel, which manages lighting, temperature bias, and those ANVC controls we just mentioned. Then there's the interphone system. It features an EMER button for critical events. Pressing that hits the flight deck with a flashing red light and a really distinctive two-tone chime. Red and two-tone, get on the phone.
On to Section 3, Emergency and Evacuation Systems, Securing the Cabin. Let's pinpoint the precise locations of these systems. In the Q400, emergency equipment is very carefully distributed throughout the entire cabin, so it's immediately accessible if things go sideways. The memory link? Safety stowed, ready to go.
A lot of this life-saving gear is basically hidden in plain sight. Key stowage includes the forward left-hand side draft bulkhead, and these aft cabin equipment drawers, affectionately known as doghouses. You'll find these doghouses right behind the last pair of seats, packed with Holland extinguishers, PBEs, and portable oxygen cylinders. Drafts up front, dogs in the back. Now, actually activating the audible evacuation system from the flight deck requires a super specific 3-step sequence. First, you set the evac signal switch to arm.
Second, flip the evac command switch to on. That triggers 3 intermittent high-pitched horns screaming throughout the aircraft. Finally, you set that evac command switch back to off to deactivate them. Arm the signal, command the noise.
Section 4. Lavatories and water systems, cabin plumbing. Stepping into the right side forward and aft areas, the Q400 uses self-contained electrically operated toilets and water systems. And let me tell you, they require highly specific temperature management and draining protocols to prevent damage. Right side wash, heated to flow.
One of the most crucial details here is the wash water temperature control. With AC and DC power on, the water in the lavatory heater vessel warms up to exactly 34 degrees Celsius. But here's the catch. To prevent the pipes from flash freezing, you absolutely must drain the system if the outside temp drops below 0 without ground power connected. 34 is warm, below 0 drains the storm.
Moving right along to Section 5, Galleys and Service Units, Catering Configurations. Walking further back, we hit the modular galley layouts. Most of the galleys on the Q400 are grouped at the rear, except for G6 and the wardrobe insert up front. A massive operational rule here: trolleys must be restrained and brakes engaged at all times when stationary. Brakes on, carts gone.
Let's look at exactly how these galleys are oriented inside the cabin. G1 is on the starboard side, G2 is on the port side, both are located aft and face rearward. G3 sits on the right side but faces forward toward the passengers. And G6? That one is way up at the front right, eating into forward baggage space. G1 and G2 look back at you, G3 looks ahead.
Now, if you need to drain the galley water system from the outside ground service panel, there's a strict manual procedure. First, pull the T-handle out about 1.80 centimeters. Second, rotate it 90 degrees counterclockwise. Third, and this is important, you have to open the hot and cold spigots inside the cabin so it completely drains out the mast. Finally, rotate it 90 degrees clockwise to stow it back. Pull out, spin left, open taps.
Finally, Section 6, Baggage and Cargo Compartments, Weight and Volume Limits. We finish our walkthrough at the very back and the underfloor zones. The Q400 has strict Class C and Class E compartments with highly specific limits for weight, volume, and running load that are essential for weight and balance calculations. Class C in the back, Class C on the track.
You really have to commit these structural loading limits to memory. The forward baggage area holds up to 413 kilograms. Back in the tail, aft compartment 1 holds anywhere from 1134 to 1724 kilograms with a 610 kilogram per square meter floor limit. But aft compartment 2, which is located after the step, is limited to just 454 kilograms and has a much lower floor limit of 366 kilograms per square meter. 610 on the floor unless you step up the door, which is 366.
Okay, let's talk about the cargo combi option, because the capacity here is massive. This configuration pushes the Class C cargo compartment to a max volume of 23.45 cubic meters. When you use this space, it requires a mandatory 9G spider net, and that net has to be secured to exactly 12 attachment points to safely restrain the loads. Combi volume climbs 23.45.
And that leads us right into the quick change Class E cargo configuration, which is pretty complex. This layout basically converts the cabin into a Class E cargo compartment divided up into 10 different zones. The cargo nets attach directly right into the existing seat rails. Now, what's really notable here is there's no fire extinguishing agent in this setup. Instead, if smoke is detected, the protocol is to trigger depressurization to literally starve the fire of oxygen. 10 zones to track, starve the fire in the back.
So, from keeping lavatory water at a cozy 34 degrees to managing 10 quick-change cargo zones, how does mastering these exact limits enhance your operational safety? Well, from the precise 7 to 34-degree recline of those AMI 1407 seats up front to the depressurization protocols of the cargo zones in the back, the Bombardier Q400 is basically a masterclass in spatial efficiency and strict limitations. When you understand these rules inside and out, you ensure every single flight is operated safely and by the book. Remember, nose to tail, details never fail. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll see you in the next one.